What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? I'm not gonna beat around the bush with you guys today. I got a hot topic. This is something I feel like you guys are gonna want to hear. I feel like it's something you're gonna want to talk about. I got some history, I got some trivia, I got a little bit of everything in this episode. Before I get into it, all I ask you to do, click that little button down at the bottom that says subscribe. Greatly appreciated. I was talking with a buddy tonight at the bar, having a few drinks, kind of catching up. Hadn't been able to get out with my boy in a while. Got to talking some football because that's what we like to do. And he asked me, hey, man, do you think Aiden Hutchinson can win Defensive Player of the Year? I said, I don't think we have one guy that can win Defensive Player of the Year. I think we have two. But I'm going to start with Hutch. I got to keep you guys sitting around. I got to get you guys to the end. Trust me, the second one, you're going to want to hear it, and that's where the trivia and everything's going to come into place. But I feel like Aiden Hutchinson, if I had to pick one today who could go out and bring Defensive Player of the Year to the Detroit Lions, the Motor City, the heart of the Midwest is what we should be calling ourselves here in Michigan. Aiden Hutchinson's got to be the favorite to do it. So what's he got to do? What's it going to take? I think it's going to take more of what he did toward the end of last season. Can he get even better as a pass rusher? With the additions of DJ Reader, Ali McNeil being fully healthy and in a contract year and hungry, I guarantee that Aiden Hutchinson is going to see more one-on-ones with offensive tackles. And going into year 3, I feel like he started to figure the game out even more last year. When it started to get slower for him, he started to thrive more. Winning those one-on-one battles with his athleticism, his high motor, which has always been my favorite aspect of Hutch's game, going back to his University of Michigan days. This dude just does not give up on plays. Doesn't take plays off. If it's first down, second down, third down, first quarter, fourth quarter, doesn't matter. He's going to give 100%. And I feel like that's 90% of why the reason the Detroit Lions drafted him was because of that and his production. Just kind of a perfect combination of a player. It's my favorite type of player, guys who aren't going to quit, take plays off. I feel like once he started to figure out the game and once he started to get a little bit more arsenal, a little bit more technique in his pass rush last year, finished this season incredibly strong. He had 3 sacks in the playoffs. Went back, did a little homework, did a little digging. 9 sacks after Thanksgiving. Now, I'll be honest, most of that was against the Dallas Cowboys that he absolutely dominated. When Dak Prescott went to bed Thanksgiving night, he had to lift his bed skirt, look under there, make sure Aiden Hutchinson wasn't sleeping under his bed. He had 3 sacks against the Dallas Cowboys. We all know how that game ended. We're not going to go down that road, but just watching Aiden Hutchinson develop and start absolutely demolishing these offensive linemen, playing inside, playing outside, dropping back into coverage. Should have won Defensive Rookie of the Year. We all know how that went. Sauce Gardner, stud corner, Detroit roots. Happy for you. Feel like Aiden Hutchinson should have got that, but it's okay. It's water under the bridge. We're moving on. If Aiden Hutchinson is going to win this, he's going to have to stay healthy like he's been doing. He hasn't missed a game yet to my knowledge. I don't think he's missed many snaps. I don't think he's missed a game. This dude is dependable. He's available, and he's a monster. I feel like this Defensive Player of the Year title is primarily for pass rushers, and I'm going to get into that when I talk about my second player. But just watching him dominate, man, and one of my favorite pass rushers in the NFL, even though he was a Buckeye, Nick Bosa, man. I feel like Aiden Hutchinson just kind of resembles that Nick Bosa type. Both wear 97, Big Ten guys, big, lean, athletic freaks. I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to have a huge season in 2024. If I have to project his stat line, which is something I don't like to do, I don't like to project because when you make projections, there's expectations. When expectations aren't met, people want to say that the player was a failure in their own opinion. So with that being said, I will throw out a projection. I think Hutch is going to get 15 sacks this season in the regular season alone. However many more he tacks on in the playoffs, against whatever AFC team we go against in the Super Bowl, I don't know. But when we hit week 18 and the dust is settled, I'm going to be looking at Aiden Hutchinson's stat line. I think we're going to see 15 sacks. The main contributor about that is going to be, like I said, the additions to this defensive line. I didn't even mention Marcus Davenport, who's going to get some attention. You have to pay attention to what Marcus Davenport's doing. You can't just let him run free. All right. When he's healthy, he's a problem. Lee McNeil, problem in the middle. DJ Reader, you guys know he's a problem in the middle. Might not be right away available week 1 with his quad injury, but when DJ Reader comes back, I think that's when Hutch is really going to start to take off, whenever that may be. If it's week 3, 4, I don't know. But once we get DJ Reader in pads and on a football field, you can't block those 3 guys and double team Aiden Hutchinson. You can't. You're going to have to pick and choose. Which battle do you want to which strong suit do you think your offensive line has versus our defensive line? I don't know. I've seen a lot of chatter this offseason about how the Detroit Lions might have the greatest or the best defensive line in the NFL. I don't know if I'm willing to give them the trophy for the greatest, but on paper, it looks pretty damn good. And that's what's exciting. And once we start to kick the football around a little bit in a couple weeks here and we start getting some real game action, we're going to have a better understanding. But Aiden Hutchinson, man, I think we're going to be seeing 15 sacks, and that's good enough to get it done. I think that's really where you have to start when you're talking about winning Defensive Player of the Year. Now, my second guy. This is not exactly a hot take. This is a long shot. It's not likely, but it's not impossible. Brian Branch. Brian Branch is the second most important player on this defense. If I had to say who was the most important player on this defense, in my opinion, Aiden Hutchinson. You have to have a good pass rush. A good pass rush will just cover up a lot of problems, whatever you're having on a defense. A good secondary with Brian Branch doesn't matter. It doesn't. I think Brian Branch, with him being limited last season, playing primarily just the nickel position, and with him moving to full-time safety this year, I think just him being on the field more, if we just get that production that he had at the nickel position and multiply it by 3 or 4, just being on the field more as a full-time safety and not just coming in spot duty, depending on offensive formations. With him just playing full-time safety, I think is going to just be the biggest thing. Just stay healthy, and I think this is what will happen. Here's what I did. I went back and I looked. Now, like I said when I was talking about Hutch, this award, Defensive Player of the Year, has primarily gone to pass rushers in one way or another. You might be listed as a linebacker, like TJ Watt was listed as a linebacker, but we know he's a pass rush specialist. Terrell Suggs, same thing, pass rusher, but he could play a little, dirty too, dirty in a good way. So what I did was I went back and I looked. Since the year 2000, only 5 defensive backs have won Defensive Player of the Year. Now, here's where I want you guys to pause the video, take a minute, no cheating, leave it in the comments if you can name all 5. They're all names that you can get. And I'll say that I started this list going back to the year 2000, so 24 years. In 2000, so 2004, Ed Reed, absolute beast with the Ravens, game changer. Like, this is a dude that was a problem, okay? Bob Sanders, a name that probably is like the most maybe forgotten, but you definitely should put a little respect on it because Bob Sanders was a problem. He won it in 2007 with the Indianapolis Colts. Our guy, Charles Woodson, University of Michigan, Heisman Trophy winner, national championship, not shared, won it in 2009 with the Green Bay Packers. Back-to-back, 2010, Troy Polamalu, Pittsburgh Steelers. The last player to win it was in 2019, still in the league, just signed with the Minnesota Vikings, Stephon Gilmore. So since the year 2000, those are the only 5 defensive backs that have won this award. It's hard. It's not easy to do. That's why I say Brian Branch is a long shot. All right, this isn't just you have to really be a fantastic defensive back to win this award, and I think that's what makes it more prestigious. And again, it's a long shot. Brian Branch is, if you can get good odds on your FanDuel or your MGM app, you want to throw some money down for a futures bet, this might be something you might want to look into, because I'm telling you, just looking at Brian Branch's stat line from last year, 15 games played, 74 tackles, 50 solos, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions. So for me, what I think you have to do as a defensive back to win Defensive Player of the Year is you probably have to be somewhere in at least the 8-9 interception range. And so we're talking about, like I said, with Brian Branch primarily playing nickel last year, moving to full-time safety, how many more reps is that going to be? Can he take that 3 interceptions and get up to 8-9? It's definitely doable. Can he add on some more sacks? It's definitely doable. Nickels are mostly playing zoner, man. You're not blitzing him a lot. I'm not saying it's impossible or you can't do it, but primarily what we saw from Branch last year was coverage. He did have a sack, so it can happen. What I need from Brian Branch to win this. And again, long shot. I don't know what I would place the odds at. I'm not an odds maker for a casino, but I might be willing to throw a few bucks down. What I would need for him to do to win this award is if you go back and you rewatch that Atlanta Falcons game he had last year, was the most dominant game Brian Branch had last season. He was all over the field. He had double-digit tackles, I believe. He was a nightmare for Bijan Robinson, who was this highly touted rookie that everyone said we should have drafted over Jahmyr Gibbs, whatever. A lot of people are saying he's the #1 pick in fantasy football. That doesn't mean shit to me, but that's the projections that Bijan Robinson has. And he's a fantastic player. Brian Branch shut him down completely. Even got flagged for a unnecessary roughness, I believe it was, late in the game when he absolutely smashed him. Cleanest tackle I've ever seen. It was so violent and clean that the refs had to throw a flag because it just looked odd. So again, I know this is a long shot for Brian Branch. This is primarily an award that goes to pass rushers, like I've said 1,000 times already, but it's not impossible. He has the capabilities. He has the abilities. He has the games. If he takes that Atlanta game and he has about 10 more of those this season, we'll be talking about it being a realistic option. Aiden Hutchinson, he has that 15 sack stat line. It's going to be a realistic option, guys. When my buddy asked me this, I said, Aiden Hutchinson's the obvious choice. Pass rusher, you know, that's primarily who it goes to. Then I said, why not Brian Branch? Why can't he win it? That's when I started doing some homework, doing some digging, giving you guys that little history lesson, a little trip down memory lane. Hopefully you guys appreciate it, guys. Leave it in the comments. Let me know if this is realistic. And I want to see those guesses. If you guys can name those 5 players since 2000, no cheating. Be honest, have a little integrity. Stick around, hit that like button, guys. I'll be back later with another show.